The War of the Gods. Part 1. Everyone harbors jealousy, anger, resentment, and even hatred within themselves at times. But what if these emotions ruled over you? If you were enslaved, or even enslaved by the emotion, you exulted in yourself, what would happen? According to legend, the evil god who desired one of the races derived from the tree of life was rejected by the creator god Kerahan. Unable to accept this, the evil god persuades the people to use for branches of the forbidden 9-branch tree of life. The branches used are each Trungi and Snake. Kerahan, extremely angered by this, assigns each the pain of childbirth, Trungi the responsibility of continuing the lineage, and the snake to crawl, sending them to the world. The evil god becomes so enraged that he spreads arrogance, selfishness, and jealousy on the earth. Therefore, it is said that every mortal on earth fights with the vengeance or hatred of a god, especially if... enough already. Dilara, aren't you tired of constantly reading this nonsense? Leave it now and come on. Dinner is ready, Daphne said. Daphne was in the arts section. She claimed to have supernatural drawing abilities. At every opportunity, boasted about her creativity, and inflated people's heads. Dilara rolled her eyes and said, "How can you be so absent-minded from listening to any text while being immersed in art?" Dilara was the youngest in the house, studying agricultural engineering. Due to her not-so-good financial situation, she had started working at a cafe where she had met Aaron. Their love story, which had turned into a snake story with a series of deception and lies, had also started like this, and then the bell rang. It was Eliza. Before Daphne could say welcome, Eliza said, "MMMM. Lovely smells are coming. Let me wash my hands and I'll be right in the kitchen." Eliza. She was so beautiful that it became impossible to listen to what she said while looking at her. I thought it would never end, Eliza said as she threw herself onto the couch. Meanwhile, some were carrying their belongings inside. Aaron and Dilara were also busy choosing their rooms. Hey, if the lovebirds have nothing more important to do than wandering around aimlessly, why don't you go get some food? Brick's back was sweating as he tried to unload the entire car. Dilara, with a mocking expression, replied, "Of course, Your Highness. Our precious feet are at your service. Let's go and explore the surroundings a bit while we're at it," said Aaron. They grabbed their bags and headed out with Dilara. "I already feel like I've distanced myself from everything and unloaded the burden of the whole year. I feel like this vacation will do us good," said Dilara as she looked around while walking. "Oh, I think there's a market over there," Aaron said, not even listening to Dilara speaking. But Dilara didn't mind that he hadn't listened. She was used to it. After, took a deep breath and got up to walk to the shore. Aaron picked up a piece of driftwood and wrote his name on the wet sand of the beach. Then Dilara, Ruzger, Daphne, Barrick, and Eliza also wrote their names. "The waves will probably erase our names soon, but we will always remember that we were here," Dilara said. They smiled at each other. "I think we should honor this night by going into the sea." Eliza's voice came from behind. Everyone hesitated for a moment, but just a second later, Ruzger had already jumped into the water. The others followed suit, swimming as if in a race. After a while, Daphne turned around and said, "Guys, we've gone too far. We should go back." Before she could finish her sentence, a scream erupted. It was Eliza's voice. It seemed like something was pulling her down. She was trying to save herself and say something, but because she kept sinking, what she said couldn't be understood. Everyone was in a panic. Barrick swam towards Elisa's. They finished shopping and returned home. The others had already settled everything in. Then they cooked and ate together, and the sun had already set, painting the sky dark. They were all so tired that after eating, they didn't even have the energy to talk. adding their silence to the darkness of the night. Just then, Ruzgar said, "Come on, everyone. That's enough laziness. There's no time to rest even for a second on vacation. This might be the last time we're all together like this. Then everyone will go back to work, and we probably won't see each other for a long time, so now everyone is getting themselves together and heading to the beach." Then, returning to his casual demeanor, he said, "I'm going to sing you the classic of these nights, Mediterranean evenings, laughing. Ruzgar." They laughed. The silence had been broken, and the dark night had awakened, its lights shining against the darkness. In the not-so-far distance, the melody of Mediterranean Eve, trying to hold her, but then a hand grabbed his leg, trying to pull him down too. The others swam towards them in haste, but they found themselves in the same situation, one by one. The water started to swirl around them. They were terrified, shouting with all their might, "Help! Can anyone hear us? Help us!" But soon they were pulled underwater. The sea calmed down, leaving no trace behind, or had it left one. In the silence of the darkness, a heartbeat could be heard. Ruzgar was trying to reach the shore, using all his strength to swim. His mind was frozen, only trying to escape. Finally, when he reached the shore, he lay on his back, trying to catch his breath. He only had thoughts of running away, and pretending like nothing had happened. But just as he found the strength to get up, his pupils dilated. Before he could lift his head, a hand reaching out from a wave pulled him back into the water. When they opened their eyes again, they would realize they were. Give Mediterranean evenings could be heard on a guitar, laughter, endless conversations, knowing that they were together for the last time. These 6 friends reminisced about the past, with sentences starting like, "Do you remember? Once upon a time, don't tell that one." They shared their memories with each other, laughing, illuminated by the campfire and holding their drinks, already drunk. For a moment, everything quieted down, and they could only hear the sounds of fireflies. At that moment, Dilara said, "I'm really happy that we found each other and collected so many beautiful memories. Let's immortalize this moment. Dilara, don't be silly. Nothing will be visible in the dark for a photo. Let's forget it and take one tomorrow." Daphne said, her voice tired. Dilara was a bit upset, but without dwelling on it too much. She said, "Then let's write our names on the beach." Please, everyone understood that Dilara would prolong this. No one attempted ni Eklian, in the midst of a great struggle, to feel the void of absence to the core. Arin opened his eyes, but he was still underwater. What was strange was that he didn't feel like he was drowning, and he was so deep that he couldn't see anything around him except for a single spot of light. He swam towards the light, which was so bright that it dazzled his eyes. When he squinted, he saw 3 small fish swimming towards him. The fish surrounded him. The flow of the water had changed, and the fish seemed to be guiding him somewhere, just as he was about to be swept away by the current. A hand grabbed his leg again. The bright light resembled the silhouette of a woman. The white light waving in the water looked like long hair. Arin was so scared that he kicked at the hand with his leg. Then a deep voice began to speak. "Don't be afraid. I won't harm you. If you've been alive in the water for this long, you must be special, like your friends. Sci-fi stories. A special someone like my friends," Arin said. Then he was filled with great horror. He had spoken underwater. Then he remembered his friends again. Where are they? Where did they go? "Story the fish will take you where you need to go. Follow them," said the white light. It was as if the sea was speaking. Arin realized he was in the midst of a miracle. The moment he opened his eyes, while the fish surrounded him, he had already surrendered to the fate carried by the current dot when he came to. He found himself waking up to another deep darkness. At last. "You've come to your senses." It was Dilara's voice. "Dilara, are you really here? What's happening here?" Arin said, "Be quiet. were trying to figure it out. Daphne nudged Aaron. Story Daphne, is everyone here? Aaron said in amazement. They had confirmed that they were all in the same place. Their biggest commonality, aside from being in the same place, was the terror they felt from knowing they existed in a place they had never seen before. Story was a place so black that it was blacker than black. The only source of light was the sun, tinged red as if bathed in blood. Water dripped from everywhere, and they were exposed to a smell that pierced their noses every second they were there. Before they could talk about all this, they began to hear footsteps. It sounded like a giant walking, with each step. The ground trembled. Terrified, they huddled together, unaware of what they would see. Finally, when the footsteps stopped, they were faced with a figure barely discernible in the darkness. "You," said the creature with a terrifying voice. "You have been brought here to make a deal with me." Story. Shocked, the friends squinted, trying to understand what the creature looked like. Tall, with fork-like red beards that reached his feet, dark-haired and dark-browed, with huge eyes, and a foul-smelling creature that was noticeable even in the dark. The snake heads coiled around its staff were long, slithering between its dirty nails. "Who are you?" Eliza asked in a trembling voice, even darker in the darkness. The eyes turned to her. "I am the master of all this darkness you see. Everything that humans fight within themselves created this place, and you will now be imprisoned here. Each of you has a part in humanity's war. If you do not want it, there is a more painful path." He pointed to a tunnel with his staff. "A path full of torment where your hearts will be removed, and your darkest places washed." His harsh voice grew even harsher and deeper. As he said these words, Elisa said, "Whatever happens, it's much better than being trapped here." "I'll go, after her," Aaron said. "Me too." Dilara and Barrick nodded in agreement. "Okay, if everyone's leaving, I'll come too," said Daphne. Ruzgar was the last one left. He had decided he couldn't stay alone. Now they would all confront the darkness within their hearts as prisoners. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.